than they ever have. As a matter of fact, they were beating the Lions by like 28 points, and they were still passing the ball because they don't seem to have a lot of run game, especially since Kyle Long went out, their guard, their run blocker, their plower. So they're just throwing the ball, and Anthony Miller is getting targets. So he needs to be rostered by somebody. With the Rams, like what you said about Josh Reynolds, Tyler Higbee got a touchdown in 3 targets, but he got 50 to 65% of the snaps last week. So he's going to be a little bit more involved in the Rams game a little bit. I was really high on Higbee coming out of Western Kentucky, and it took him a while to develop here, but I think the Rams are starting to figure that out. And with Cooper Kupp out, he could be the other sneaky tight end that you might want. If you want to really, I guess, out of this crazy world one, Levine Toilolo from the Lions. I think Matt Patricia needs a new target now that, they traded their wide receiver to the Eagles. I think he's going to be a flyer coming in here soon. So I think that he's possibly rosterable here, a tight end for the Lions. Let's move into breakout players, Dave. And why don't you start out?
Sounds good. I like the Eagles this week. Josh Adams, the rookie who saw more carries this week again. If you haven't picked him up a couple weeks ago when we talked about him, Josh Adams actually for the Eagles, he was their lead runner this past week. They're playing the Saints who don't guard anyone offense, but they score a ton of points. So this is definitely going to be a high scoring game. I like Josh Adams as a sleeper pick for them. Carson Wentz has looked good ever since he came back from injury too. So if you're not starting him already, he's going to definitely be a must start this week too against the Saints. If you have him on your bench or if you're just playing the matchups here, definitely pick him up as well. A guy I forgot to talk about before, actually, that's a nice sleeper this week is Lamar Jackson. Joe Flacco is still questionable for this week with a hip injury. He may not play this week. So Lamar Jackson may get his first start this week. So I like him as a deep sleeper. If you have a 2-quarterback league, or if you're just looking for a quarterback on a bye week, Lamar Jackson might be a nice start this week if he does start. So keep an eye on that Joe Flacco situation. I do like him against the Bengals. Bengals haven't been playing that great of defense lately. Saints just dropped 51 on them. So and they fired their defensive coordinator as well. So definitely a nice sleeper pick in Lamar Jackson. All the Cowboys players, pretty much. I do like Mari Cooper. He's had some solid games since he came over from the Raiders to the Cowboys. They're playing the Falcons, who don't play much defense either as well. So I do like Amari Cooper as a nice sleeper pick this week. And then the Buccaneers, Ryan Fitzmagic. And I like the Humpty Hump Adam Humphries this week as well against the Giants. So I do like that matchup as well. The Giants do not have a great defense as well. Fitzmagic's been throwing the ball well. Like we said, over 500 yards, even though they didn't really put up that many points. So I do like that matchup. And I like Dante Moncrief actually against the Steelers. That's another good one I do like this week. And then I do like the Titans this week against the Colts. Colts have very porous defense. Mariota's been playing well lately, so I like to see him, put him in there. Deion Lewis has been coming on as a lead back there, so I do like him as a sleeper as well.
Yeah, man. Deion Lewis, yeah, he's the man now. He's definitely going to get all the carries, most of them. He gets all the targets anyway. He's the most important back for the Tennessee Titans. Completely agree with you there. Josh Adams, like you said, was already stated to get more carries, and that's bad news for Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement owners right there. I'm unfortunately owners of them in some various leagues myself. Anthony Miller versus the Vikings. I think the Vikings are really weak at secondary right now, and you guess Xavier Rhodes would be on Allen Robinson, which would leave Anthony Miller wide open, just like last game, to catch a ton of passes. Corey Davis versus the Colts. I'd like him. He's just been balling as well. And for the Titans, I think his target share definitely went up a lot. Sterling Shepard, the Giants wide receiver versus Tampa Bay's terrible pass offense. I think he's going to get open. Obviously, you're starting Odell Beckham, right? And then you might as well throw Evan Ingram in there too, because Tampa is so bad against tight ends. And what I said about Levine Toilolo, he got 5 targets against the Bears, and Carolina is number 1 at giving tight ends points from a defensive perspective. So that's a huge thing for Matt Patricia to look at. And I think if he's got some Belichickian in his brain, he's going to think to go to his tight end. You can't forget John Brown this week. If you're contemplate starting John Brown versus Cincinnati, he's a must start. I probably put him as a wide receiver 1 right here.
I'll go to the quarterback situation first, though, because if Lamar's starting, I wouldn't put him as a quarterback or a wide receiver 1 against the Bengals if Lamar's starting, though. So definitely keep an eye on that situation first.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and that has to do with Joe Flacco starting more. But I hope that John Brown balls out this game. I think he will. I always liked him. He's speedy and he's got incredible hands. A lot of David Johnson owners weren't starting him, right? And because how bad were the Cardinals? And I think now is the time to start him because Oakland is number 32 against run defenses at run defense. They are teams run all over them, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And David Johnson is a for sure start running back run number 1 this week. I like Alshon Jeffrey versus the Saints. I think he's going to get I think the Eagles are going to bounce back a little bit and score some points. So if you're thinking about not starting Alshon, you want to start him. That brings us to your nasty sleeper of the week. Who's that guy that no one thinks about that's going to get some points for us, Dave?
All right. Well, I have actually it was a tie between 2 players this week, actually. So I got a bonus one for you this week. I got 2 nasty sleepers of the week this week. I have Christian Kirk from the Cardinals, wide receiver. I like him against the Raiders, like you were just talking about with their porous defense. And then the guy we were just talking about, Josh Reynolds. I like the wide receiver for the Rams. I like both those guys as my D-Naster sleepers of the week.
No, I love it. Absolutely. And I'm going to give you that really smelly one I talked about. This is the nastiest of the nasty sleepers that I've picked. And I'm going with that Levine Toilolo. I'm just banking on this one for him to get a touchdown here. I think that the Lions, they have Matt Stafford's got the power to throw the ball. They need a bounce back. It's going to be at home. This is where they're got to throw their tight end. I'm going with Levine, and let's see what happens here and see how that comes to fruition this week. Well, thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate you making time for the podcast every single week as being our fantasy master, and you have been a master this year, my man. So if you have any questions out there, listeners, please tweet Dave at DNasty #1 or tweet us at the Oddsbreakers. Thanks again, Dave. Everyone, go get some wins.
Thank you.